The member for Higgins has the call.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Well, what an MPI debate point. Honestly, I think it's quite extraordinary that those opposite don't realise that this is a moment in our nation's history when it's about Team Australia. We've just watched the Olympics. We've just watched how Olympians have dealt with a really tough COVID period and how they've pivoted and worked hard to deliver some fantastic outcomes that Australians can be proud of. But now is the moment for us to work together to understand that this COVID pandemic has been extraordinary. I don't think anyone would question the whole world has been dealing with a crisis. It's been a global pandemic, a global crisis. And to hear the previous member saying, oh, not good enough, it's very easy to be backseat drivers when you don't actually know what's going on. You obviously are not listening to what the Prime Minister has been saying day after day with press conferences. The Minister for Health, Greg Hunt, has been out there. They've been listening to experts. They've been listening to evidence-informed advice. They're in meetings day after day, sweating the decisions that are leading us through the carnage and chaos that is this COVID global pandemic. And I would like to say, I would like to hear from those on that side, please tell your supporters, go and get vaccinated. Because honestly, you don't say, which flu brand am I looking at? When there's an emergency, as the Vice President of the AMA, Chris Moy, said, you don't ask what is the brand of the seatbelt or what is the brand of the emergency lifebelt. You just put it on, because at this point in time, it's time for Team Australia to stand up and get behind the vaccine rollout. Now, there is absolutely no question that there have been issues. And in fact, I remember in January, Professor John Skerritt briefed the coalition members. He also briefed the opposition and said, we know it's going to be messy. And that is because COVID is messy. That is because this is a new vaccine that no one has had to deal with before. This is a new technology, and we need people to get behind with their confidence, their certainty and their leadership. And I implore those opposite, put aside your petty politics and get behind the vaccination rollout, because people are hesitant. There is no doubt about that. People are nervous. Now, it is understandable because in the first 5 months of this year, there was no COVID deaths. I'll just say that again. In the first 5 months of this year, there were no COVID deaths. Now, that wasn't just sheer luck. That was not sheer luck. That was good, certain, stable, strategic decision-making made by a calm, confident executive government, one that all Australians should feel proud of, and it was delivered by each and every Australian, doing the right thing, listening to the quarantining measures, following up through the contact tracing recommendations by the public health experts, and then doing their bit with physical distancing, mask wearing and hand hygiene. And now, the fourth layer of our safety issues have come online at speed now, and that is the vaccine rollout. And that's why we need every Australian to get behind it. And on both sides of this parliament, we need people to get behind the vaccine rollout so that there's not a concern, oh, there's something going on, we don't know what it is, but people are playing politics, so we'll just leave it. We won't make that decision. We want you to go and see your GP, work out if you're eligible, go to www.hotdocs, and that will let you know where you can go and find out which GP you can get a supply from, work out whether you're eligible, and understand that both Pfizer and AstraZeneca are helping to deliver a great outcome for Australia. Now, we know the national plan, which has been agreed across political lines between the national and state and territory governments in National Cabinet, is delivering a plan which is, once we get 70% of the adult Australian population double jabbed with one of the vaccines, we know that we're going to be able to put lockdowns into a different category. We won't need to have the suffering that everyone is having to deal with. It's a terrible situation with the Delta variant, but we need to work together. Now, I just want to say something about quarantining, and that is, no one on the opposite side has said that we should decommission hotel quarantining. I do want to say 350,000 people have successfully come back through hotel quarantining. There have been 3,500 positive COVID cases. We have continued to improve through federal government support of the states to improve the quality of quarantining, which has been something that's had to be stood up at speed. But there's been less than 20 outbreaks from quarantining. That is actually an incredible outcome when you consider how many positive cases there were. And I would say that some of the improvements have come through frequent rapid antigen testing. Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker.
The member for Chifley has the call via video link.